Thank you. The next item of business is an urgent question, and I call Ash Regan.
To ask the Scottish Government, in light of the reported details of abuse that came to light during sentencing at Glasgow High Court yesterday, what its position is on whether child safeguarding in Scotland has failed.
Minister Natalie Dawn-Innes.
Presiding Officer, keeping children safe is our utmost priority. The news from yesterday's trial is horrific, and my thoughts are with the children who have suffered such abhorrent abuse. No sentence can take away their suffering. However, the perpetrators have only been brought to justice because of the bravery of their victims coming forward. All of us are understandably shocked when we hear about such terrible crimes, and I welcome the news that an independently led case learning review is underway in line with national guidance to ensure that child protection in Scotland is as robust as it can be and that all learning is acted upon.
Ash Regan.
As a mother, my heart broke listening to the tragic circumstances of abuse suffered by these children. But of course, the Scottish Government has a duty to safeguard vulnerable children. Yet this case reeks of institutional failures. These children were on the Child Protection Register, yet they were failed. These children were known to agencies with a duty of care to protect them, yet they were failed. These children were chronically absent from school, yet they were failed. And these children showed blatant signs of neglect, yet they were failed. The Scottish Government has presided over this catastrophic failure at every single level. Minister, are the children of Scotland safe?
Always through the chair, please, Minister.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. And I agree with some of the sentiments around the experiences of these children. I am a mother myself. This case absolutely horrifies me. And there is no getting away from the fact that these children were failed. Now, as I've said, the details in this case are horrific. But I understand that the case review that has taken place will be there to learn lessons and to ensure that safeguarding is bolstered going forward in Scotland. My priority right now has to be on the actions that we're taking, and that's whether through the National Strategic Group, the newly established task force, or a lot of the work that we are delivering on the promise and on improving child protection across this government. So, as I say, my focus just now has to be on the actions that we are taking going forward to protect children.
Ash Regan.
But yet again, these catastrophic system failures have come to light from brave survivors and interveners, which shows there is a problem in the system. A child's background, a child's behaviour and a child's perceived social status must never impact on how they are protected in a civilised society. The mere fact that they are children must be enough. And fear of creating offence must never overshadow the instinct and the duty to protect children. So let me be very clear. The rights and the expectations that these children had to protection from abuse must be judged solely by the fact that they are children, and failure is not an option. So will the Government outline what they are going to do urgently to address these serious safeguarding failures?
Minister.
I think I gave a lot of the answer to this in my previous response. In relation to the independent review that will be carried out, Glasgow Child Protection Committee has brought in an independent reviewer to lead this review. That lead reviewer will be independent and out with Glasgow, but still has to be appointed. And I'm, as I say, confident that we will learn lessons from the failings here and what we can do to protect children in the future. I have outlined previously to the member and to other members in this chamber actions we are taking to protect children around the National Strategic Group that has been set up, and also in relation to online harms through our newly established task force. And I will continue to look for any ways that we can bolster child protection measures. If that's something that the member would wish to discuss with me, I'm more than happy to do so.
Thank you. Fulton McGregor.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. This is really a harrowing case. Enhancing our child protection services and learning lessons is absolutely vital. the Minister will be aware that I raised this issue with the First Minister recently, specifically on the issue of mandatory reporting. Can the Minister say any more about what steps the Scottish Government are taking to improve child protection, including through its new task force to tackle online harms?
Minister.
Yeah, I thank the member for his question and for his continued engagement on this really important issue, particularly on support for victims. On mandatory reporting, it's important to note that in Scotland professionals do have an existing duty to report child abuse. It's vitally important that we do all we can to protect children from abuse and sexual exploitation, and that's why earlier this month I announced that the First Minister has asked the Minister for Victims and Community Safety and I to form that new task force I've already referred to on online safety. This task force will provide oversight, challenge and direction to identify what more can be done to protect children and young people from online harms. I've also already referred to the new Child Sexual Abuse and Exploitation Group established in October 24 to review current actions and agree where some additional focus is needed to better protect children. And we want this group to be able to take action that is informed by the experience and the expertise of practitioners, and that's why the group is co-chaired by senior policing and social work representatives.
Sharon Dowie.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. During yesterday's sentencing, the judge, Lord Beckett, praised the children for their formidable strength, courage and perseverance. Without that, these violent individuals may never have been caught and would still be offending and wrecking lives today. But it shouldn't fall on child victims to bring these monsters to account. Given the system's failure to intervene sooner, despite the children being in contact with services, what lessons have been learned and what immediate changes are being introduced to ensure this never happens again?
Minister.
As I say, I feel like I've answered part of this question in part already, Presiding Officer. I've spoke about the review that will be taking place, that independent review led by Glasgow, to establish what lessons can be learned from the failings and also what further action can be taken to ensure that we don't see anything like this happen again. I've outlined what we're doing in relation, well, the member will be aware of a whole range of work that the Scottish Government is undertaking in relation to the promise, in relation to whole family wellbeing, in relation to getting into families and young children's lives at an earlier point to try to, intervene early and stop crisis points and improve children's lives, essentially. But over and above the work that we're doing in the promise, which I think is directly linked to child protection, we also have the ongoing work of the National Strategic Group and the Task Force. Again, if there are other measures or things that the member would like to see us going further on, I'm always happy to discuss that with members on this very important issue.
Thank you. Pauline McNeill.
So the Minister has said that there's an independently led case review. But surely, Minister, we must have some answers now and not in a year's time, and perhaps you could clarify the timescale. How was it possible for those who were protecting those children 13 years of age and under, how could they have missed the signs of deep levels of abuse in a flat where there were children screaming and there were comings and goings? Surely the Minister's not satisfied simply to leave it to a case-led review to give us some answers to that key question. I ask the Minister if anything could be done to give some preliminary answers now, because if we are expected to wait longer than this, then I don't really see how the Minister can say that she's satisfied that all Scotland's children can in fact or are in fact protected.
Minister.
I don't believe I did say that, and actually I was very clear that I believe that these children have been failed. This is an abhorrent case, and what I'm saying is that I'm doing my best, and I think everyone in government is doing our best to try to, ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. In relation to the independent review that's been set up, I don't have the details on that at the moment. As I've already said, we are still awaiting an independent reviewer to be appointed around that. I'm more than happy to share details around that once those details are available with the member and discuss any other further queries she may have.
Thank you. And Douglas Ross.
Officer Ash Regan, Sharon Dowie and Pauline McNeill have all rightly asked for the urgent action, and I've listened very carefully to the Minister's response, and I've heard nothing urgent about it. We have an independent review that doesn't have a chair, that we don't know when they will report. Can the Minister reassure members in this chamber and people watching that the Government are actually taking this urgently, and what discussions have there been at Cabinet about this issue, given it impacts on every single child right across Scotland?
Minister.
I'm aware that this issue was discussed at Cabinet this morning. I don't regularly attend Cabinet, so I can't provide any details around that, but I am aware it was discussed. I'm more than happy. I understand the strength of feeling around this case, and I think I've been quite clear that I am not necessarily satisfied with all the details of this case myself. So I'm more than happy to go away and look into what urgent action can be taken over and above what I've already laid out in relation to this case. So I'm more than happy to do so and keep members updated on that.
Thank you. That concludes the urgent question. I'll allow a moment or two for front benches to organise for the next item of business.